management systems, and this is our new notes. We previously gone over relational model, ER, and introduction in architecture. Here we are going to do ER to relational mapping. ER is a conceptual model. The map conceptual model to representational or an implementational model. So we're going to map this so we can see everything. We first have our strong entity. We can create a relation for the entity. We are going to include all these simple attributes in simple composite attributes of a composite attribute. So that's a lot of words there, but basically we include all of the smaller attributes. So if we have like F name, middle initial, last name of our composite attribute, so like this name, we are going to include them instead of the name. So for this example here, we have our entity employee. We're going to have this outside of here, and this is from a previous example that we've done so far back in like the ER notes 2 section. We are going to include our SSN, salary, F name, middle initial, I name, or last name, and our EID, so like employee ID. We include all of these in here. Notice how we don't include name. That's because we want to include all these simple attributes like we were saying. Our key, or our SSN, is going to be underlined, and that is because it is a key. Now note our SSN and our EID are both keys. However, we can only have one key. So we are going to pick SSN for this example, but EID would work just as well. We note that only one key is underlined in the relational database design. We have another example here where it's a composite. We have our classroom as our entity. We have capacity, room ID, which goes to building, and the room number. This is our example. So when we write this out, we have our entity out front, and then in parentheses, we have our attributes. So we have capacity, we have building, and room number. Now note how building and room number both stem from a key, so they're both going to be underlined. This is when we can underline two things. This is our composite example. If we have a composite primary key with our RID, we didn't have a composite primary key here. This name was not a composite primary key. However, this is a composite primary key. So when we have a composite primary key, we must also have a composite foreign key. So for example, if we have a foreign key A, where we have small a, b, c inside of here, this is just another entity relating to this, relating to building number, building or room number, probably set it to room number. That means our A and B or C, at least two, since we have two primary keys in here, must, for our classroom, must be a primary foreign key. And that's going to be it for our strong entity and how we would do an ER to relational mapping. Next, we're going to look at one-on-one relations, and then we'll look at one-to-many and one-to-many recursive, and look at many-to-many, and so on and so forth with our notes in the playlist linked below the like button.